Hi everybody, I'm so excited you decided to do this craft. Seems like a lot of people are excited, a lot of people signed up, so let's get into it. There's a lot of steps, and let's first start with what is in your kit that you got. First foremost, all these directions, right? So you got to have this and your supply list. So let's go over the supply list. First thing, besides the directions, is the pillowcase. Again, you've got a really nice white pillowcase, and as you can see on the first thing here, you got to make sure you wash it. So I did wash mine. It has a whole different texture now. It's 100% cotton. There definitely was some sort of film or something on it when it shipped, so make sure you do wash it first. If at that point you want to iron it, you can, but again, this is all about folding techniques to get the pattern that you're going to have in your design. So ironing it isn't necessary at this point. So I just washed it and then I let it air dry. So that's your pillowcase. Again, it has a really great, nice big zipper in the back that you'll be able to get a pillow into it easily. Second thing is your dye. So everybody got a blue dye. We're just doing traditional Shibori tie-dye technique, and it's the blue color that kind of you'll see if you kind of start looking at things out in the stores or online. The traditional color is blue, so that's why everybody got blue, to make that simple. The next thing on your list are 2 large rubber bands and 2 small rubber bands. So you'll see there's different sizes. And there's other things in your kit. The reason is anything that we're going to tie down our design in place with, anything that is covered by a rubber band, by a piece of wood, by a clamp, a piece of plastic, whatever that is, those things will not be dyed on your pillowcase. So the pillowcase is going to be blue, but any folds, anything that's hidden, that's wrapped or tied down or binded, will be white, and that's how you'll get the crisp white and blue different colors in your tie-dye pattern. We also sent along, most importantly, gloves. This is dye. This will stain. This will dye everything. Okay, even your rubber bands, even the sticks, everything is going to turn blue. So having gloves is really, really important. Okay. The next thing on your list are the large sticks, craft sticks. We got 4, and then you got 4 little ones, okay? And the other item are these little tiny clothespins. You have little ones, but if you have big ones at home, you can use that, okay? And the last thing in your kit is this instruction kit on how to make the folds. This is only one design, one very basic design. So that's what's in your kit, and then we're going to go through all the steps that we need to make this pillowcase. Hope you enjoy this. Okay, besides the supplies that I gave you, the other things that you're going to need are the extra supplies that are in bold on your list. So you're going to need a large container, bucket, a square basin, a metal glass, something. Again, everything will dye, so you want to make sure that you're using something that you don't care if it gets a little discolored, that you can rinse out using a slop sink, whatever, so that it doesn't dye whatever you're using. You have to have water, obviously, and your water needs to be 140 degrees. So that's, hot tap water, warm. So measure your temperature on that, make sure it's around 140 degrees. Paper towels, again, to kind of clean up in case you spill anything. I'm working outside on a glass table. I thought that would be the safest, less enticing for my little children to come get their hands in to touch everything, interrupt me. Also for this, it says on your package of dye, it says for cotton, which is the fabric we're using. We got 100% cotton on this pillow. You will want to have a cup of salt. So we're going to add salt to our dye water mixture. That just helps it make a more true color, brighter color, and really dye your fabric well. And just a teaspoon of dish detergent in there also. And then a metal spoon to be stirring. Don't get your good wooden spoons out or any wooden stick. Well, unless you've got a stick you're throwing away, like a paint stick. That's okay. Just ignore the barking dogs in the neighborhood because I am outside. But so like a metal spoon would be a big metal spoon to stir would be great, because then that's not going to dye and turn color. Okay, so those are all of your materials that you're going to need. And like I said in this explanation of what we're doing, all the directions, read through it. Read through it several times so you can have everything in order, ready for the steps that you need, and you're not missing anything. Okay, those are very important things. Okay, so now that we've read through all of our instructions, we really are understanding the steps. The thing that you want to do is make sure that you go and wet this pillowcase. You know, I washed it, I let it air dry, and now I went to the sink and I got it damp. I got it really wet, and then I wrung it out. Really, it's not dripping. There's no water coming off of it, but it's damp. Because on the RIT dye it says that your product should be damp to be able to take on this color. So now that it's damp, again, I'm gonna just maybe straighten it out a little bit, pull the corners nice and tight to work on my getting it back to a perfect square here. Because this is where we're going to go ahead and start this pattern. I'm going to go ahead and make the one that you guys have available to you. Okay, we're going to fold it in the design that it's asking. Okay, so it says to make an accordion fold, and when you look at this design that you have, I've decided to make this one. So it's these up and down zigzag stripes. And the first thing is to go ahead and fold it in accordion into fours. Okay. Now, I gave you links to look at that indigo dye technique tutorial. Several really cool designs on there. You can go ahead and check those out. And I'll be curious to see if anybody goes ahead and makes any of those. Besides those designs, you can Google Shibori designs, techniques, patterns on Google, YouTube, all those kinds of crafty places, Pinterest. You will find lots of patterns. And again, really it's about folding this or crumpling it and then binding it in a way. There's one that, starts from the top and it just goes down and it binds kind of all the way different spaces down. That makes kind of like those round cylinder bullseye looking, So there's lots of patterns. You choose whatever you want to try, but I'm going to stick with the one that I gave you. So I'm going to lay out the pillowcase. I'm going to follow like I said, it wants it to be accordion style folds in fourths. So the pillow, kind of guessing, you're going to do 1/4 of it, fold it over, and at this first fold you want to press everything down. Again, the more crisp you get this, the better your pattern will come out. It'll be more precise, I hope. That's what I've seen. Now, the next one is where you're going to fold it behind itself. You're not going to keep going over it over the same direction. Accordion style is where then now I'm going to fold it behind it. So I am going to pick it up on the two edges of that fold and pick it up. And so now it folded on itself behind it. And I'm now going to make sure that this is nice and straight. And I'm going to lay it down again and press those folds all the way out. I'm going to move my camera a little bit, kind of show you. I'm pressing everything out, smoothing it all out to really make sure I've got crisp folds and lines. So now you've done 3 of these. Well, I'm sorry, 2 of these. And we're going to fold it again for the final one, but it's technically 3 folds, but there's 4 sections. And you'll see that here. This one is considered one side, the inside is a second one. This inside behind it is the third one, and the one behind it, which is then loose, is 4. So again, once I've got all 4 sections, it's 3 folds, 4 sections, I am really going to make this pressed out and tight. Okay, that's the first step. And then the next part of this is really folding triangles. Working with the weather out here and the wind and all the elements. When I first started this, a bee attacked me, so I had to restart, but it was like, it must have liked all the stuff I brought out here. But so anyway, I'm working outside in the elements. So the wind blows. I'll just excuse me while I fix myself a little. We've got our first set of folds, nice and straight, nice and crisp. Everything is even. Now we're going to fold into triangles, again in an accordion style. So we're not just going to keep folding it out the same direction. We're going to fold triangles one direction, and then we're going to fold them back on to the next section all the way down until we get this little triangle. Okay, so it says on your diagram, we're going to fold edge A to B. So we're folding behind. Okay, and you'll see that in this pattern that you have, and I'm going to kind of bring this down again. You won't see my face so much, but you'll see what I'm working with. So again, this corner is A. Okay, this is edge A. We're going to fold it up here to B. Okay, but it's behind, so I'm going to take it and fold it up like this. So it's making this triangle behind it, not in front of it. I'm not going on top of it. I am going behind it. I'm pulling A up here to B. Okay, and again, pressing, really pulling, making sure I got it nice and tight and crisp. Okay, so now you have your pillowcase that looks like the second step of your instructions. Okay, we're going to fold these triangles. Okay, we've got that first one behind, and now we're going to bring and make sure that we bring it down to make crisp line again, and really press those down as you go. This time I'm going to flip this one behind it. Okay, so we're just going to continue to make these triangles. And the next one we're going to bring down, keep that corner or edge, I guess it's an edge, keep that edge tight as you can. Okay, and we're going to fold that. Those are on top. Now we're going to go behind it. So we flip it over, keep everything intact and straight, and you're going to fold it on that edge again. To make your triangles, keep lining them up. Flip it over. You may have to do this several times. But that's okay. At this point, you're just folding, right? You're just going to keep folding and folding until you get the design that you're looking for. Again, you might not be doing the one that we're doing here. You might be doing something different. Okay, so I'm going to fold my little last triangle up, and at this point, I'm going to hold it all together. You'll have a package of triangles. Okay, so at this point, it's a triangle. Unfortunately, we've got some, you'll have some, no matter what design, you know, you're going to have this unless you cut it off. Some of the things might not be as crisp or tight as you thought, so you can go back and redo that section. But when you're satisfied with the actual fold of whatever pattern you've decided, this is where you need to secure it down the design. You need to secure it tight. Tighter, the better. And I've written that in your instructions, okay? Because that is how you're going to get that real crisp definition between the white that it started with and the blue that you're going to dye it, okay? So I'm going to take the big thick rubber bands and I'm going to secure 2 sides of the triangles, okay? And I'm going to probably will use a 3rd for the top, but again, tight. So you're going to pull this rubber band and keep winding around. Now, the more I go on top of it and not loose, then just that section will get or stay white. So if I wanted this to be thicker, then I would kind of lay the rubber band on top of itself so it's making wider section. But I'm going to make sure that I'm getting this all just on top of itself, okay? And I'm going to go, again, tighter all the way around it. And I still have slack here, so I'm going to go again on top of itself and secure these rubber bands in place. I still have a section that's slacking, so I'm going to do it again, okay? As tight as possible, and you get the rubber bands all lined up on each other, that there's no gapping spaces, so that it's good and tight and secure all the way around. So that's one corner. I'm going to work on my next one. Same idea. You're going to cinch it up. Again, I did it with just like maybe an inch in. You know, I could have went down further, I could have went out further. That'll just depend on how the design will come out and what you're looking for. Okay, so I'm going to try and be symmetrical. I kind of like things symmetrical, so that's why this design appealed to me. I'm going to try and make the points where these are matching up about an inch down on both sides. Okay, so again, really tight. Okay. And if something slips out of your design, then you got to push it down in and re-secure that rubber band. Okay, so if I leave it like this, there's gaps, and I'd get 2 stripes, which might be something, you know, that you wanna do. But again, I'm trying to get mine uniform here, looking all exactly. Well, who knows when it comes out of the die what the design will really look like, which is the fun part. You know, again, I do like things symmetrical. I do want it to hopefully turn out a certain way, look a certain way. But if it doesn't, I'm okay with that too, because this is our first time experimenting with this particular design. I'm doing for the first time with you too, okay? So we're all in this together. If you haven't heard that phrase yet, we're all in this together. We're going to make it through this with our crafts together. And I'm hoping you're enjoying all these different designs and different craft projects we're doing for you. I'm doing for you. Okay. So, again, this one is a little less down than I would like, but it's all right. Nice and tight, nice and secure. And again, I might leave it like this. I'm not sure, because again, if I bind this end, it'll be a whole nother section that'll be white. Okay. Well, you've got these popsicle sticks, right? And you're like, how am I going to secure that? Well, again, you'd put 2 the exact same size, which maybe I'll do. Let's give it a try. I'm going to put the 2 popsicle sticks, and I'm going to secure each end of the popsicle sticks with these other rubber bands that I have. Okay, so you're just going to go round, and round, and round until you can't go any further. Again, it's about being... So now I'll have a whole stripe across this design, this whole section under here. The idea is that the die will not get under this. Okay, so that's why it's got to be really tight, really, really tight. Try not to break your rubber bands. So that should be good for that end, and I'm going to do the other end now. I'm going to secure this section. Okay. Well, sometimes they slip off, it's okay. If you watched that video from the Indigo Dye Techniques, she has a whole nother little rubber band that she uses with a plastic washer to tie things down. But really, just a regular rubber band is great. It'll do the job. You can hear my neighbor's home for the day. Starting up one of his cars. He's got several to play with here, so hopefully it won't get too loud. I am going to tuck this little tag down under my design now that I've got these rubber bands going, just to try to get this tighter and not have that in my way. All right, so as this got tighter and tighter, you can see it's bending these guys in. It's really secured my triangle in these 2 spots and across here. Okay, so that's it. That's my design for the folding, for the securing, the tying. Now, the fun part. Well, this was fun too. I really enjoy crafts. So this is the first one I've done. We're going to go ahead and get the die ready, and we'll see how this turns out when we're done. All right, I'm back. We've got our design done. Okay, I've already done this step. Now is the water. So I had a 12-quart dish pan. Perfect. I need 3 gallons of water. 12 quarts, 3 gallons. A little bit of math here today too. So that worked out for me. Whatever, again, a bucket that you'd have, a metal, steel, bucket, whatever, it'll work. Okay, so here's the other things that we needed besides the dye. My cup of salt, okay, it is level. I got it a little mounded up there, but so I'm gonna go ahead and put that in my water, all the way in, and then it says to stir it up. I don't need gloves at this point, right? I'm not using dye yet. So here's my metal spoon. I'm gonna stir it around, making a little salt solution to enhance our dye, to make sure that that dye really colors. Okay, you can hear the salt as it stirs, so if you're still, hearing it, it's not dissolved yet. Got really hot tap water, 140 degrees. Okay, that'll go ahead, take care of that. And then you need a dish soap. A little bit of dish soap, says 1 teaspoon. You could eyeball it, or I'm going to measure it. Again, we're mixing it into our solution. It's not about getting big soapy bubbles. Okay, so I'm just making sure I got it off of here, and then I'm going to stir it with my metal spoon. Okay, so the solution's going round and round. Not making bubbles, not trying to. You might see a few pop up. If you do, you can pop them down. Just make sure you've got your solution mixed in. Now, gloves. Put on your gloves, because we're going to start working with the dye. It says for this 3 gallons to use half of the bottle, or to use more if you want a deeper, darker blue. I want a deeper, darker blue. So I'm going to use the whole bottle in my 3. But you could do half and see what color you get with that, if you're happy with that. Okay, gloves are on. I'm also wearing black. I thought maybe that that contrast of working with the white could see me a little better out here, and then if I actually got the dye on me, it'd be okay. Oh, all right. Maybe you want to wear an apron, wear something to protect yourself. Shake it up. Really shake it. Okay. Now, opens up. There's no caps or something to remove. It's already open, already ready to go. There's no seal there. It's already ready to go. So I'm going to start to slowly pour this in. Okay, I want the whole bottle, the whole thing. You know, at this point it kind of looks purpley, dark, almost black with a purple tinge to it. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lid back on. It's completely empty now. I put every last ounce I could in here. Then I'm going to stir to evenly get this mixed. And then, you know, you're at about, you know, step 10 of your directions here. Step 11 says to test it by dipping a piece of paper towel in to see. Again, if you put half the bottle in and you think, well, let's see what color that is. Am I going to like that? Now, remember, it will dry lighter than what it looks like on a wet cloth or wet paper towel. Okay, so I think I've got this well incorporated. I'm going to use the paper towel now to set it down on because I've got a glass table I'm working on, but just, you know, get everything off that you can. And now I'm going to test the color. So instead of just putting it in like this, I am going to fold it up and just stick a little section in. Okay, just a little tiny section to see what color this might be. Okay, so I'm just going to stick it in just a little bit because it's going to soak up a lot. Okay, so the color that I'm working with is navy. Some of you got indigo, some of you got denim blue. There's different shades of this blue. Kind of hard to find right now. It's a trendy thing to be doing during quarantine is to tie-dye. So you can kind of see this is a little variegated even, but you know, I'm wringing out the extra color, and the stuff that was down more instead of sucking it up is definitely the darker color, and it really, I think, is a really nice deep rich color. So I'm happy with that. You know, play with yours. If you don't think, if you didn't add all of it in, it's not as dark as you'd like or as vibrant, add more. Okay, make sure you had your salt in there. So at this point, the fun, right? It says go ahead to put this in and continually stir it for the first 10 minutes. Okay, so this is just going in. Moment of truth, right? In it goes. It will no longer be white. And you can see. And now you can see if I was just to leave it, it kind of sits at the top. So this is why we want to continue to kind of slowly stir it around. Okay? You can see I take it out even just to show you that it's getting some color. You can't quite see it because I'm taping off of my laptop today. So 10 minutes of this. 10 minutes of playing with it. I'm not going to make you watch me do this for 10 minutes. You get to do yours for 10 minutes. Okay? And then technically you could take it out if that's what you wanted to just leave it for 10 minutes. But it says, you know, half hour to an hour even. The more you leave it in, the more intense this color. So I'm going to leave mine in for quite a while because I'm hoping that it'll be a nice deep navy color the longer it sits in here. All right, moment of truth when we come back. We'll get to pull it out, wring it with the clear water, rinse it with the clear water, and then unfold our pattern and see what we got. I'll be back. See you soon. Okay, I moved locations now. I'm out in the yard. Just thought, to rinse this out, you could use a slop sink, obviously, or I thought the hose would be the best solution here. So I wanted to say that you can see this is completely dyed now. I left it in for an hour. Okay, so it's dark and it's dripping. So at this point, I'm going to wring out anything that's dripping from it. It'd be easier with two hands, but I am now using my phone, but just so that it's not really dripping anymore. Okay, and then just going to put it down and run the hose on it to run some of the dye out of it. Again, you could put this in a slop sink in your house and run it out that way. That would be perfectly fine. I just want to really get the dripping dye. And this dye, it says you could leave for a week, cover it, and then when you reuse it, stir it. Because you could maybe make some really cool, like napkins for your table, or another pillowcase. Try a different design. I got these pillowcases on Amazon, pack of 4, cotton. So you can find them all over. You can go to Joann Fabrics, Hobby Lobby, and find different ones. But I thought this size was good, and for the price point was pretty good too. So I'm going to keep rinsing this. And you see the rubber bands didn't turn color. But what turned color is obviously the wood pieces. Okay. Alright, I am going to go set up in a different spot to open this so that we can see it and see the pattern that came out. Super excited. Hope you guys are too. Okay, I'm back on my deck with my gloves. We rinsed everything off. Still my little package, right? So if you're thinking, wait a minute, Laura, this is not quite the package that is in the handout. You are right. As I was going through that and folding it for the first time live with you, I'm like, I'm not quite sure I did the folding right. I have seen this pattern a couple times when I did some research on this. So this fold is a little different than that fold in your handout. In your handout, you would have gotten more of a rectangle that you folded in half and cinched in the middle. So let's see. Let's unravel this. Let's see what we get. Take the rubber bands off first on the wood pieces. And you can see on the wood, see, the dye didn't go through there. So that's the hope when I take these wood pieces off, is that the dye didn't go through. So it didn't go through on some of it, but it did bleed through again. It's all right. We're hoping for the next section of stripes. So this should be a bunch of triangles, I think, when we open it up. Okay, this looks good. Okay, you can see I got something going on with a bit of a pattern around it. I'm going to slowly unfold it, or open sections up to see before we unravel the whole thing. Some of those sections of rubber bands are really tight, but so again, looking at it this way, you can see where, you know, it got folded on itself, which is good. And then the insides are white. So I'm thinking if we start to unfold it, we'll have sections that didn't get as much color. Okay, looking good. Okay, so kind of like this is that accordion fold at this point. And then halves. And the whole thing. So you can see that this was the inside corner, so it has the least amount of dye on it. But I'm pretty happy with that. You can see the triangles a little bit. I bring it in on the folds and the center pieces. So this is what mine turned out like. So I'm really excited to see what everybody else has turned out like. I'll dry it. It says to wash and dry it now. So wash it in warm. Don't do hot, because again this is cotton, but we do want to do warm so that that the dye stays on now and is affixed. So again, I'm pretty excited and thought this is pretty cool how it turned out. And I'll really be interested to see it when it's dry. So let me know what yours turned out like. Show them to us, put them on Facebook. Let us know what you thought of the project. And if you do more, I would love to see that. So thank you again. Don't forget to sign up for September's craft. September craft is ink dye washer necklaces. So those will be cool too. Everybody's will be different, a little different depending on the colors you use and the pattern of that. So all right, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.